Donald Trump and his entire administration have become the poster children for dodging accountability. Every time there's a disaster of their own making, whether it's reckless government shutdowns they actually engineered but can't negotiate their way out of it, or Trump's catastrophic handling of the economy, that's how somehow it's always, trying to pin it on Joe Biden. The pattern's always the same, but just blame everyone else. Now, the biggest mistake and the most glaring issue he runs from it like his political life depends on it, is his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. And now, as new evidence surfaces, it's clearer than ever just how panicked and desperate Trump is to bury what's coming out. Because make no mistake, the Epstein ties aren't the only skeletons in Trump's closet. From his botched shutdowns to his shady backroom dealings, there's a mountain of scandals he's terrified to confront. We're going to dig into everything they're trying to hide, guys. But before we do, please do drop a like and a subscribe if you're part of the growing wave that refuses to stay silent. Every click helps this truth reach the people who want to hear it. Donald Trump isn't even truly in charge of anything in the White House right now. The man is completely out of his depth. His thoughts are scattered, his words incoherent, and it's painfully obvious he has no grasp on what's actually happening around him. The real power players pulling the strings, are people like Stephen Miller, Russ Fort, and J.D. Vance. They're the ones quietly steering the ship while Trump obsesses over trivial vanity projects. All he really seems to care about is lining his own pockets with redecorating the White House to look like, some Mar-a-Lago knockoff. You see, now Trump's only real passion is the grift of polishing up golf courses, cashing in on his supporters, making everything about himself. And yet, despite all of this, you'd think somehow this self-absorbed person would at least be easy to locate. But even Caroline Levitt has no idea where he is. Trump is more of a brand than a leader now. He's a man hiding in the shadows whilst others do the dirty work, all while he focuses on, his own selfish image.
Caroline, Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government. Emily.
Donald Trump flat out refuses to face reality. He won't address the government shutdown he created. He won't talk about the economy unless he's finger pointing at Joe Biden. And most of the time, he won't talk to anyone at all. Last month, his public absence was so extreme that people generally wondered if he'd actually vanished. And now the same thing is happening all over again. As Representative Hakeem Jeffries put it, Trump is basically a presidential witness under a presidential witness protection program, hiding from the press, ducking any real conversation about the shutdown, and especially running from his long-shadowed Jeffrey Epstein scandal. So this shutdown isn't some random accident either. It's Trump's favorite sleight of hand, you could say. Just create chaos to distract the media, whilst what he actually does, dreamed of, is laying off and firing thousands of federal workers behind the scenes. Now that's why, just like a petty authoritarian, Trump has his loyalists tear down art and statues which embarrass him. But guess what? Those statues are back. On Thursday, a bronze installation depicting Donald Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein holding hands reappeared on the National Mall right in front of the Capitol after being removed last week by the US Park Police. Now, the piece, titled Best Friends Forever, features the two with one leg playfully lifted and a plaque sarcastically reading, "In honor of the friendship. This month we celebrate the long-standing bond between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein." The group behind it They had a valid permit, but the White House still sent its goons to smash it up and haul it away. Now it's back again as a very public reminder to Trump, you cannot escape your past no matter how hard you try. Of course, the Interior Department tried to deflect this by saying only people holding hands in DC right now are Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, and the White House refused to comment entirely. Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson called the statue a liberal stunt, claiming it's not news because Trump supposedly kicked Epstein out of his club. But that's not transparency, that's a spin. Trump has dumped thousands of pages of recycled documents into the public record, hoping that a flood of old material will look like openness. It's not. It's just camouflage, isn't it, guys? A statue depicting President Donald Trump and the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein reappeared Thursday on the National Mall amid the government shutdown. The bronze-coloured figures, shown holding hands and each with one leg lifted in the air, were first installed last week but removed by US Park Police on September 24th. The statue, titled Best Friends Forever, includes a plaque that reads, "In honor of Friendship Month, we celebrate the long-standing bond between President Donald J. Trump and his closest friend, Jeffrey Epstein." A spokesperson for the Interior Department said the only people holding hands in D.C. right now are Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, after they shut down the government to push their radical agenda. The National Park Service and the White House did not respond to a request for comment. White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson, in a statement last week, dismissed the installation. Liberals are free to waste their money however they see fit, but it's not news that Epstein knew Donald Trump because Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep, she said. Democrats, the media, and the organizations that wasting their money on this statue knew about Epstein and his victims for years and did nothing to help them, while President Trump was calling for transparency and is now delivering on it with thousands of pages of documents. Now that's the real story here. Every time Trump tries to bury the truth, it comes right back, whether it's the shutdown, the firings, or the Epstein scandal. He's had those statues illegally removed to silence the message. Now they're standing tall again. A bronze-coloured reminder that he can't outrun accountability. Even in his own circle, people are starting to talk. And just this week, I believe Representative Jasmine Crockett and others are exposing more bad decisions tied to his allies like Howard Lutnick. The backlash is growing, Trump is hiding, but the truth isn't.
The news today by Donald Trump's own pick to be the country's commerce secretary, a man named Howard Lutnick. Howard is facing mounting calls to testify today before the House Oversight Committee in the Epstein investigation after he made these bombshell remarks.
Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
What? Quote, how did he get 18 months? He's a convicted sex offender. On that, I'm with Lutnick. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She serves on the House Oversight Committee, which is investigating the Epstein case. Mara and Basil are still here. Congresswoman, you want to talk to Howard Lutnick, too?
Absolutely. Listen, I mean, he said, I don't know. But one thing is clear. He knew enough to know that he did not want to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein and that he was his neighbor. He talked about the fact that he was into some questionable things. So I'm sure he's seen people come and go, and he seems pretty confident that there were videos of this. So I would absolutely love to kind of dig in a little bit more and at least get a list of names to work from and start to kind of build backwards and do the work that Alex Acosta and that DOJ failed to do.
Well, he says in that interview that they, quote, shared a wall. I don't know what billionaires have for home alarms, but like a Ring camera would have probably picked up some images. I mean, do you want to see his surveillance footage if he has any?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if he still has it, for sure. We know that that was actually one of the things that Alex claimed was problematic for him, that they did not get the video footage that Epstein had as relates to that Florida case where he ended up getting the 18 months. So anyone, and you know, in fact, let me make a plea right now. If you have video footage of anything that was going on at the Epstein home, whether it's Florida or New York or anywhere else, please feel free to contact the House Democrats on oversight, and we will do everything that we can to make sure that the truth starts to come out.
You know what I thought listening to that interview? I listened to the whole thing, time I'll never get back, but he talks about taking his wife over to Epstein's house. He describes him as, quote, gross. And he describes a tour that Epstein gave him of his fancy house, which was, I think he said, quote, so wide. And they go from the living room, and he thinks that the double doors are opening into a dining room, because I guess that's what all the house's floor plan is. I don't know. And it's a room with a massage table in the middle. It seems to me that if one of your peers, instead of a dining room, has a room with a massage table, and don't you think they talk amongst themselves? And this is something I've picked up from all the victims. I mean, the victims have suffered because they were siloed in their shame and in their trauma. But the people who knew about Epstein, they were never shamed and isolated. They all hung out together. I mean, does Lutnick give you more names of people that hung out and maybe also went on the tour and saw the massage table?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do think that he has names. I mean, the fact that he felt like that there was video footage, and he obviously felt like it was video footage of people that were important enough that he would end up with a sweetheart deal. I mean, your everyday Joe walking in and being caught on video doing something nefarious doesn't necessarily equate to something that I've never seen as a practicing lawyer. I mean, the amount of allegations that they had against him at that time, and then for him to get that little amount of time, in addition to, as he already laid out, he had privileges that afforded him an opportunity to continue to commit crimes, and everyone looked the other way. I mean, this was like the nightmare that would not end, and even now that Epstein is gone, it's still a nightmare, because you have people like the President of the United States saying, oh no, this is nothing more than a Democratic hoax, and consistently, you know, really invalidating what these victims / survivors experienced.
Congresswoman, I wonder if it's enough to bring Acosta back, that Donald Trump's own Secretary of Commerce believes that I just want to get his quote right, that they traded those videos. How else could you get 18 months? He was a convicted sex offender.
Yeah, you know, Alex Acosta, as far as I'm concerned, he probably walked as fine a line as he could, but I did not feel like he was completely truthful. Obviously, we did a transcribed interview. I would love to get him in a deposition setting instead, and I really want to dig in on a number of things that I was asking him about. You know, he basically hid behind the fact that he was the U.S. attorney for that area. And so, as we know, anyone that sits that high is not necessarily into all of the specific details of any given case. But this was a high-profile case, so he was briefed on it. You know, I want to talk to the other people that were on that team, the people that he said flew in from D.C. and sat down and had roundtable conversations about them. I want to see how many of his statements align with theirs. The only thing that we know is for sure there was a line prosecutor, someone who actually was looking at all the evidence and was doing everything that she could to make it clear that this is somebody that needed to be prosecuted. She had drafted a 53-page indictment, and they decided, nope, never mind, we're not going to go forward with that. Instead, we're going to kick this back down to the state, and we're just going to non-prosecute this case on the federal level. But we're not going to be open, honest, and transparent with the victims as the law requires, because what we're going to do is work around the law.
Donald Trump genuinely believes he can make us stop talking about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. But he's dead wrong. He can't even get members of his own cabinet to stop bringing Epstein's name up, let alone silence the rest of us. Every time he tries to bury his story, it just resurfaces louder and stronger. And trust me, we're not backing, no one's backing down here. We're just going to keep exposing, keep shining a light on the corruption he's so desperate to hide. Now, if you're with us in, holding this accountable, make sure to hit that subscribe button, please. And do drop a like. It really helps us keep this fight going. And if you stuck around till the end of this video, please drop a blue heart in the comments to show that you're not afraid to stand up for the truth. See you on the next one, guys.